Hi, everybody. This is Chapter 7, The Public Duties of the Physician. Public health records and vital statistics are the vital events in any person's life. It's used by the government to determine population, trends, and needs, etc. And it's the public duty of physicians to report these vital events. And what are they? Birth, death, etc. Birth, the physician has to sign a certificate of live birth, and they have to file it at the county clerk's office in the state where the birth took place. As far as death, they must report that also, the date and time, the cause, how long the deceased was treated before dying, whether or not there was a pregnancy if it was a female, and whether or not an autopsy was required. Now, there are a few people that you should know what they do. The coroner is a public health officer. It holds an inquest if the death is violent or unknown, the reason for that particular death. The medical examiner is a physician who investigates unexplained death, and that person performs an autopsy. And what is an autopsy? It is an examination after death to determine what the cause of death is. The medical examiner cases are legal investigation by that examiner or the coroner in the case of a suspicious death. The investigation of the death is required if the death was very in nature, like a homicide or suicide, or an accident, if it was a criminal abortion related to any horrible, contagious, or virulent disease, if a person was confined to a jail or correctional institution and died there, the legal investigation, or if it was an unexplained, unexpected cause. The medical examiner will need to investigate. Some of the other types of investigation when it is required that the medical examiner steps in is if there is radiation, electrical, or chemical injury. If the person has had absolutely no physician in attendance within 36 hours, which would be most people, unless it was in a hospital or nursing home. If the person that died was not, the body was not claimed by a friend or relative, meaning that they'd be a Jane or John Doe, or a child that died would be under the age of 2 and they died from an unknown cause. And lastly, would be a person of an unknown identity. Communicable diseases are transmitted from one person to another and are considered a threat to the public. They are reportable, and there is a National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. So these are things that are always reported. So it is additionally the duty of the physician to report AIDS, HIV, and AIDS-related complex or ARC cases. All states require these cases to be reported to the local or state Department of Health. Now, who actually does the reporting may vary. It could be the physician or the laboratory. It depends entirely on the state. Now, what else would a physician have to report? Well, child abuse would be one of them, and it's not only the physicians, teachers, health professionals, daycare people, social service workers, law enforcement, anybody that sees child abuse is by law required to report it. The physicians that don't report it have been held liable for not reporting such cases. And a person reporting it is protected by law from being sued by parents or others, even if it's just suspected and it is not proven to be a fact. The child must be protected. Well, what about elder abuse? There's an Older American Act that was put into place in 1987. It includes any physical abuse and neglect of anyone 60 or older, exploitation, abandonment, financial abuse, etc. And that has really helped older people. Spousal abuse laws are governed very by state to state, but it should still be reported. Sometimes the police have to become involved when spousal abuse is suspected. The court may issue a restraining or protective order prohibiting the abuser from contacting the victim. It doesn't always have to be the victim that initiates. Sometimes the court can do it on their own if they suspect problems. Now, there are signs of abuse. We've all seen cases, and you can go over these on your own, but I mean, sunglasses, makeup to hide injuries, bruises, fractures, bite marks, etc. They're all just different kinds of abuse signals, and I think that they need to be looked at. What about substance abuse? The physician should immediately report to law if the person is abusing prescription drugs, or if there is a violation of a controlled substance law, it is considered to be a criminal offense. What about gathering evidence? The precise documentation of all injuries or bruises and suspicious genital fluid deposits in children is critical. There are kits that are put together at the various hospitals and clinics to take pictures and deposits and scrapings, etc. The court may subpoena these records at a later date if this case goes further. Gathering evidence in the case of abuse would include a urine specimen, taking clothing, body fluids, samples such as blood or semen, vaginal or rectal smears, looking for a foreign object, a picture. The chain of custody of evidence is vital. It has to be collected by a person, signed, forward, dated, and stay within. It doesn't go from place to place. It has to be followed quite carefully and not be lost. Otherwise, it's not usable in a legal case. Some other reportable conditions would be the physician reporting statistics, whether there's a cancer, epilepsy, congenital, meaning born with disorders, and then diseases like TB or any other infectious diseases, mumps, not that we see them that often these days, but a meningitis, things like that should be reported, of course. Now, the Controlled Substances Act and regulations, we have the FDA and the DEA. Know the difference, please. The Controlled Substances Act of 1970 is important. And then the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, the BND. These are the entities that handle these controlled substances. If a person gets a prescription for a controlled substance, it can only be given to them by a physician that has a DEA number. And that's usually for a narcotic. That DEA number has to appear on all prescriptions for a controlled substance. And if it's a Schedule II drug triplicate form is required. One stays with the pharmacist, one goes to the state, and one goes into the patient's record. Prescriptions for controlled drugs cannot be refilled without the physician. They don't just fax it. A written prescription must be brought in. They have to take a written inventory of drug supply every 2 years at a pharmacy. Narcotics for dispensing records are to be kept for 2 years, whether it's at a physician's office or pharmacy, and state regulations may vary in this, but generally 2 years. Now, what about the protection of the employee and environment, the EAP? This is important. It helps families assess and employees assess the problem. There's confidential counseling that should be available and referral service if a an employee needs it, help the employee develop some sort of a plan to resolve the problem. And it's confidential. It determines the appropriate resource to assist in the process. And as I said, it's confidential. It doesn't mean someone loses a job if they have a problem. It means they can get some help. Employee Assistance Program, great. And lastly, what is medical waste? Whether it's solid, chemical, radioactive, or infectious, the physician or the establishment, whether it's a hospital or lab, is responsible to be sure that it is disposed of in the appropriate and legal way. Always. That's it for Chapter 7. I hope this has been good for you and that you've learned something. And again, if you have any questions, you are always encouraged to call me. Let me hear from you. Take care. Have a great day.